been a while since I've posted. I'm so sorry about that. It's been a bit busy the last week and a bit. Eladia was away last week in Brisbane with some work stuff and on a work trip, and so I was at home alone with the two girls, and then the weekend was just crazy. So I'm doing well. I feel good. I've got I went this morning and had my blood tests done so that that all can be sent through to the oncology unit, and they then get the results today. They prepare my chemo today, and that's all based on my blood counts and whatever other tests that they check in my body to make sure everything's fine. And then that gets done and sent through to the chemo ward tomorrow. So when I get there tomorrow morning, they've got my chemo and it's ready to go. Last week, Monday, I went and had my bloods taken for the genetic testing. So that will take about 2 to 3 months for them to come back with any information on my genetics. They will have it ready or available for once I'm finished with all my chemo to then make a decision about surgery. So not that I have any of the genetic markers that we know of, but I just wanted to just tell you a little bit more about the appointment and how amazing and interesting genetics is. Like, honestly, I could have sat there for hours listening to this woman speak. She was so knowledgeable, and you could just see she loved her job so much, because the more questions I asked, the more she could answer. She was like wanting to just tell me everything about it, and she's like, and I understand, it's a lot to take in, it's a lot to carry. And I'm like, no, go, tell me more. So I did kind of forget a bit, but the gist of it is that how they do genetic testing and what they look for and how it's all done is actually phenomenal. So the way she explained it to me in my layman's terms is that when you are born or when you are made, you get 50% of your genetic code from your mum and 50% from your dad. And then that comes together and then that makes you, right? So you've got your 50% markers from your mum and 50% from your dad. Then what happens is inside those little round, they're like little round cells. So inside those little cells, there are 22,000 genes inside each one. And then what happens is that they've got, so those two little lines, it's one from your mom, one from your dad, right? Then those two little lines, that one will reproduce another two, and that one will reproduce another two, and then those two die off. So they also have a life cycle. So then they'll die off. Then you've got these two. Then they'll produce another two, and that one will produce another two, and so it goes and so it goes. And it makes identical copies. Hence, that's your genes. That's how you are made. So it's for your tissue. It's for everything in your body. However, how most people develop cancer is that they will have those little cells being made, and then all of a sudden there'll be like one that has a little spelling mistake, as she explained to me. And that little one with the spelling mistake, right, that one then will start to reproduce, and then it starts changing its makeup and reproducing until it's starting to copy and paste the same cancer cell. Now what happens is that would then be damage to the genetic material, which is our cancer protection genes, right? And in the cells, it causes normal cells to turn into cancer cells, right? And that's how That's how cancer develops in normal people, in most people. And then what happens is that generally cancer doesn't just happen overnight. Cancer takes months and years to grow. And a perfect example of that when I say it takes months or years. For instance, my cancer is a HER2 positive, right? We know that it's hormone based because it's estrogen and progesterone positive. Okay. When they do your cancer check, there's a marker called the Ki-67 marker, right? And mine was 10%. So what that means is that in that 10%, that's 1 to 20 of my cancer cells take 180 days to reproduce. So that's only between 1 and 20. So that's not a lot. So that's why you can see cancer doesn't just grow over a couple of days or weeks. It takes months and years to grow these massive tumors. That's also why when they see cancer in much older patients, hence they only check for cancer in much older patients, because by the time that they are 60, 70 is the general normal age for someone to have produced it or have a cancer. That's when they do the tests, and then obviously they find it. Sometimes they do the test and they've taken too long to pick it up, and then that's when it's metastasized, or it's maybe a stage 2 or a stage 3, where it still can be fought and it still can be treated. Will take a lot longer, would take a lot more chemotherapy, all those type of things, or surgery, but that's when we get to those stages of the stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, because then it's actually metastasized, which means that it's spread to other parts of your body. So in someone who presents with the gene, there's quite a few genes, there's about 9 of them, whether it's someone that presents with the gene, that's in rare families, right? It's an actual inherited fault, okay? So it's a pathogenic variant in the cancer protection gene. So the gene that's supposed to be protecting you from cancer, like I said, anyone with one of these genetic markers, they are actually born with it. They are born with that variant in their cancer protection genes, where now instead of them being protected from it, it's actually reproducing and it makes it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that someone that has this gene is going to have cancer. No, it just means that you're more likely, your likelihood, your percentage of getting cancer is higher than someone that doesn't have the gene. So it doesn't mean that you will get it. And also because, like I said to her, I said to her, so now does that mean that if I have any of these genes, will my sisters or my brother? And she said to me, it's very difficult to say, because you get 50% from your mom, 50% from your dad. It's the luck of the draw. It's whatever 50% or whoever has got it passes it down, but that does not mean that my sisters and my brother have it. So it all just depends on the luck of the draw. So with them doing all the testing, we'll get the tests back in about 2 to 3 months, and then she will give me a call, or if they've found anything or I have a gene, she would like me to go back to the office, back to the hospital, to sit down and discuss it, and then she gives me a full report. And in that report, she'll be able to tell me things like the risk, the average risk, the moderate risk, potentially higher risk of other people in the family getting it. Then they also do MRIs and all of those type of things in younger women to see how, to just mitigate the risk for them and to manage their risks, should I say. Just because you've got the gene doesn't mean that you will be affected by a reoccurring cancer. So it all just depends. And there's so much that's spoken about in the genes. I mean, like, it was quite interesting that, you know, out of the genes for breast cancer, there's like the BRCA1, BRCA2, and another one called PALB2. So those three are more of a high risk gene. She was saying that whoever has those, generally they take that quite seriously and discuss the risk management in terms of a mastectomy, double or single, you know, because obviously they are concerned that there will be a possibility that there will be a form of cancer in the other breast, particularly with with those genes. It runs along almost like the same like cancer line with ovarian cancer. She said problem with ovarian cancer is it's quite hard to actually detect ovarian cancer, because ovarian cancer, it actually lays flat against the fallopian tube, so you can't really see it. It's not a mass or a growth or a tumor like a breast tumor. She said it lays flat against the fallopian tubes, or the ovary, should I say. So if you've got one of those, then obviously there's the recommendation and the risk of mitigating risk and having your ovaries and fallopian tubes removed. Simple keyhole surgery, nothing major or anything scary about it. They don't remove everything at a certain age, particularly like a younger age, because they don't want you to go through premenopause. Obviously they don't want a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old going through premenopause, so too early. So they don't remove your uterus and your cervix and all of that, so that you can still have, you know, go through the normal course of menopause in your 50s, 60s, however that, whatever age that is. Then you've got the other ones, the other 4, 5. Those genes, if you've got those genes, they're not as serious. So that's more of a management type of gene. So that would be a lumpectomy. So it would be removing the lump in the breast. And then it would be just precautions throughout the rest of your life. So once a year, MRI and a PET scan, and you know, then that would be what you would do just to manage the risk. If they pick up anything, obviously then you can quickly do that and have it seen to or biopsied or whatever it is. But the most recent one that they've added to the genetic testing, which is also a bit scary, when she spoke to me about it was a bit scary, but she also said to me that on my family history, because my family history is like breast cancer or lung cancer or skin cancer, that type of thing, there isn't any early onset childhood cancer. So she said I wouldn't fall into that category at all, so there's no worry there. But there's a new genetic that they're testing, and the reason why they're asked to test for it is not to check if I have it or not. It's because it's a new gene, it's a new genetic disorder or variant that they are trying to get as much information and as much data on. So they would then obviously use that and put it in towards the research on it. And it's called the TP53. So that one is more along the lines of people that are dispositioned for all different various types of cancer, where the other genetic testing that they do is mainly like your hormone, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, where this one is more a gene that is for people that are more likely to have cancer, but can develop all various different types of cancer. And that also is then, because of that, they are thinking that that's also linked to early childhood cancers. So they will just test for that, even though I won't have that at all. The nice thing about this genetic code and testing is that, yes, there is a possibility that it could come back, after they've looked and they couldn't see anything, or it comes back as undetermined or whatever. But the likelihood, she said, that it comes back as undetermined is very slim. But if it does, then within a year or two, because they're doing genetic testing all the time on people, within a year or two, I'd be able to then reapply, and they can take my DNA or my genes or my DNA that's on file, and they can rerun it for me. And then they will be able to give me a better idea, a better understanding, in a year or two, because they've then got a lot more samples on file to then be able to compare mine to, and all of that. So that's quite interesting. They'd also be able to tell me if I have a gene, then, or which gene. Then that also, it's really good information to have for my girls, because then based on whatever the outcome of the genetic test is, the girls would then be able to start already having mammograms and ultrasounds from the age of 25, which I know is very young, but I'm only 37, so they'll be able to get that test. They'll be able to go once a year and get that tested, and then at the same time, they'll also then just keep some tabs on their ovaries and their fallopian tubes and things like that, just to make sure everything's fine on that side. So that was quite an interesting test that I went through for on Monday. Then on Thursday, I had to go see, unfortunately, my oncologist was away, so I went and saw someone else from her team. Such a nice guy, really, really nice guy. He just met with me just to check up how am I feeling, how did the first chemo go, side effects, anything like that. I haven't had any major side effects, thank goodness. Just the hair falling out is quite a pain, actually, more than anything else. My scalp kind of feels a little like sore, almost like sensitive, my scalp. And other side effects have been around about like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon. I start to feel a little bit like spacey, like almost like I've said before, if you get off a roller coaster and you feel like you're still on that roller coaster. Anyway, he explained to me, he said that's a very normal side effect. He said because I'm drinking a lot more fluids now that I'm on the chemo, and because the chemo works and it affects every single cell in your body, he said that your brain kind of has a little bit more fluid that it sits in, so it's a little bit more swishy kind of a way. So that's why you kind of feel that like woozy, like light-headed feeling. So he said that's normal. I haven't had any other side effects. I did, however, say to him that he's very, very lucky that I have married a man who loves me so much and married me for my personality and not my looks. Because at the end of this, I'm going to be bald, boobless, and obese, because the steroid that they give you after your chemo, one of the side effects that I've gotten is that you are constantly feeling hungry. So I feel ravenous. I actually feel like I haven't eaten. I mean, like I'll eat like the same amount of food as Eladio, and then after I'm finished my plates, I feel like I haven't eaten, like I need more, like it's like constant, this need for food, which is good, it's good, but it's also not good, because you know, if you're not eating the right things, or when you're just eating whatever, then obviously that becomes a bad side of it, because then you start picking up weight unnecessarily. So I'm trying my absolute best to not always go for the lollies or the chips or all of that, but I'm trying to eat a lot more fruits and vegetables and nuts and all of those things. So it is a good sign that I've got an appetite, which is great, because I don't feel sick or anything like that. But I also don't want to feel hungry all the time and be eating all the time. Like Eladio said, at least you're not on the complete opposite side. So I said, yeah, but it wouldn't help, it wouldn't harm to not eat a little bit and drop some weight. I mean, like, surely there should be some sort of benefits to all of this, not just like losing your hair or having all these parts of your body removed. Like, I need to have some kind of benefit, but we'll see how that goes. So I've got chemo round 2 tomorrow. My wonderful husband will drop me off, and he'll fetch me when I'm done, and I'll drop a video after the chemo to let you know if I felt any different from after the second one compared to the first one, and then I'll keep doing that to update you all afterwards as well, just to see how it goes from the first, the second, third and fourth. But other than that, everyone's doing well, and I will get the kids and Eladio to hopefully do their videos so that we can upload it, just so that you can see where they are and their heads are at and how they feel and what their thoughts are. But other than that, have a great day. Bye.